The Rick and Bubba Show, we are back at 866 We Be Big, and a lot of you have been anticipating the weekly visit from Dr. Lou.
Dr. Lou, Dr. Lou, that's Dr. Lou.
How about you, Doc?
Guys, I'm just going to be completely honest with you today.
I'm so glad.
I'm getting tired of hearing about Cam Newton and the scandal around his recruitment.
Oh, wow.
So I'm just going to go ahead and come clean today.
You're going to come clean?
That's right. Dearest college football fans, I stand before you today a guilty man who has been humbled by his despicable acts of greed and corruption.
Oh, my, Lou.
Much to my embarrassment and to the embarrassment of my family, including my two sons, Skip and Rudy. I must let go of the baggage that I've been carrying since last year. It was March of 2009 when I met Cameron for the first time. And I don't know what it was about him, but there was a twinkle in his eye and a sparkle in his smile that had me at hello. I'll never forget the first time our eyes met under the Golden Dome. His skin like decadent symphony milk chocolate. His eyes like a magnetic force, and his smile as contagious as Magic Johnson's, no pun intended. It was like something out of a TNT movie. Then I spoke. Cam, do you have a map? He replied, no, but you need one because you're lost in my eyes. This reaffirmed everything I had already known for 7 seconds. I was falling hard for this eye candy they called a quarterback. As you can imagine, a guy like this doesn't come along very often, so I knew I had to be on my A game in order to lure him to South Bend to be with me forever. I recall that same day in late December as we sat under the Touchdown Jesus mural. We watched the sunset in that crystal blue South Bend sky and talked about everything from our celebrity crushes to our leprechaun fantasies. He even opened up to me about his relationship with Rihanna and why it didn't work out. From what I gathered, it was raining on a rather chilly day, and he went to take shelter from the precipitation with her. Rihanna was extremely comfortable when he did this. She angrily replied, "Get out from my umbrella, Ella, Ella, eh, out from my umbrella, Ella, Ella, eh." This is when I knew that Cam was hurting immensely from the scars left from this rejection.
Right.
But up to this point, I knew deep down in my heart that it was wrong for me to get so personal with a recruit. But it felt so right, I just knew it couldn't be wrong. So Cam and I decided to spend that evening visiting with one another, and I invited him to Lou's lair. And on our way home, we stopped at Winn-Dixie to get some ingredients for my signature Irish stew. This is when one thing led to another, and Cam was nowhere to be found. And what happened next was so monumental that my buddy Dan decided it was worth recording the music. I searched everywhere through the grocery store, the dairy aisle, the bread aisle, even the magazine aisle. He was nowhere to be found until I stole behind him in the frozen foods, and I touched him on the sleeve. He didn't recognize my face at first, but then his eyes flew open wide. He went to hug me and he spilled his cart, and we laughed until we cried. We took our groceries to the checkout stand. The food was totaled up in bags. We stood there lost in our embarrassment as the conversation dragged. We went to have ourselves a drink or two, but couldn't find an open bar. Cam bought a six-pack with his fake ID, and we drank it in the car. We drank a toast to innocence. We drank a toast to now and tried to reach the emptiness.
Wow.
But neither one knew how. And guys, once we finished our conversation in the car, it was getting late. So I turned on the radio and we rode back to my house. All I remember about the ride home is flipping on the country station on the FM dial, where Cam begged me to leave it, telling me that his dad's friend co-wrote the song with Dolly Parton. Then Cam began smiling and singing to me. We riding together, making love with each other, Islands in the stream, that is what we are. No one in between, how can we be wrong? Sail away with me, Lou, to another world. And we rely on each other, from one love to another, Shortly after, we pulled back up to my house and Cam had fallen asleep. He looked so peaceful that I hated to wake him. So I cradled him in my arms and walked him up the stairs and put him in my Rudy room. I laid him down on the bed and he opened his eyes, smiling with eyes half open. He quietly whispered to me, "Daddy, I want to be here. This is where my heart is. This is where my future is. This is where my daddy is." I told him to go to sleep, but that I would take that as verbal commitment to the University of Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I kissed him on the forehead and said, "Good night, son." I went back downstairs to go fill up my car with gas at the convenience store down the road. And as I arrived at the convenience store, I stood at the pump and finished gassing up my green and gold smart car. Freezing cold, I skipped inside and grabbed a candy bar and a Coke, put it on the counter. That's when things got out of hand.
Uh-oh.
Before I reveal this information, I just want my family and friends to know that I apologize for the mistakes that I have made to bring me to this lowly point. I am ashamed. As I laid my snacks on the counter, I felt a hand on my shoulder, and a low, commanding voice said, "Dost thou have a Butterfinger on the counter?" Frightened, I turned and saw a reverend wearing a T-shirt, simply said, "The Diesel."
Oh, my God.
He then said, "You know that candy bar isn't going to get my son to come here to the University of Notre Dame, don't you?" I didn't know what to say, so I swallowed and waited for him to speak again, and he did. Coach, the deal was outlined very clearly in our text messages. I asked for $100,000 and 12 ounces of Coke if you wanted Cameron to suit up in the green and gold. I didn't know what to do. Frankly, I panicked under the pressure. I went and grabbed $100,000 from the candy bar rack and a 2-liter Coca-Cola, put it on the counter. Then the Reverend looked at me and said, "You're making me smile, Lou," which means my son is yours. It doesn't look like Kenny has succeeded in his efforts over at Mississippi State, so unless Taylor Swift gets me a better deal with Coach Meyer at Florida or Keith Urban comes through for me at the University of Alabama, Cameron will be reporting next month to South Bend. Again, I cannot express the deep regret I have for having bought a player with $100,000, nor can I tell you how worthless I feel for using Coke as a collateral to bring a player to the university for which I care so deeply. I will, however, say for the record that I had a video on my cell phone that confirms the intimidation tactics that the Diesel used on me to close the deal. But unfortunately, I dropped my cell phone in the toilet earlier this week, so you'll just have to trust me on that.
You'll just have to trust me on that one.
Also, I have a friend who posts on message boards frequently, and we all know that message boards are extremely reliable sources for information.
Yeah, absolutely.
This poster's screen name is I Love Football 020491743479. And he said he heard this guy saying that the Diesel used these intimidation tactics with every SEC school to get what they want. So that's a fact. Because remember, it's written by a credible poster on a message board. It's a fact.
That's right.
But before I close the book on my dishonest recruiting efforts, I want to give you one more name in this scandal that will surface before too much longer.
All right, Hulu.
His name is Jesse Palmer. The true story on why Cameron Newton left Florida is only known by 3 people: Jesse, Urban Meyer, and myself. Now you can't spell jealousy without Jesse. and you heard it here first. Jesse was jealous that Urban was falling for that fine piece of athlete. And he threatened Urban with a riddle via text message stating the following. This is a text from Jesse to Urban.
To Urban.
No rose for you until there's no Cam Newton. I thought that was funny when I wrote it. Who knows?
Because he was on The Bachelor.
Maybe lost in the
That's
text.
right. That's what it was. Bad delivery.
I got it.
I got you, Lou. I'm still back at the convenience store. I'm sorry.
Right.
Still trying to figure out how that $100,000 got on the counter, huh?
Right. $100,000 candy bar right when it went. $100,000.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
I followed it.
I'm glad we got some sophisticated humor in here. He went on to
You said
say
a Butterfinger and then $100,000.
100 grand, and then 100 grand. That was. I thought it was enough.
This is like a
connection.
Richard Gere murder movie, isn't it?
He went on to say in a series of text messages that he had no problem settling in with Reese Davis if Urban broke his heart, but that he hoped that wouldn't happen after all the pain he had suffered after Kirk broke his heart. And the last bit of evidence I will share involves the heartbreak of Jesse Palmer over Kirk Herbstreit and his desperation to eliminate Cam in an attempt to kindle his love with Urban. Jesse left the following voicemail on Kirk's cell phone on December the 25th, 2009. Here's what it said. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. The very next day, you gave it away. And it seemed to save me from tears. I'm gonna give it to someone special. But guys, in the end, all the facts will be brought to the table. I can only provide what I know to be fact, and that's this. Cam Newton is gorgeous. Number 2, I'm a candy bar crook who tried to buy him to our university. Number 3, Cecil the Diesel is fueled by junk food. Number 4, Jesse Palmer likes the whiny boys. And lastly, I'm Mark May's daddy. Go Irish.
I'm Mark May's daddy. Go Irish. All right, we'll be back. We got the picks coming up, and Lou would like to let you know that he will be at Turkey Toss next Tuesday.
That's right, guys. It's gonna be real exciting. Gonna be throwing all kinds of meat around. It's gonna be good.
We'll be right back. It's 14 minutes to the top.
Rick and Bubba, Rick and Bubba.